Go. 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 Go live.
Hey, everybody. We're
Go.
going.
All right.
You made it.
Why this? Why do I? My.
Oh, my goodness. Here we are. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the nonsense that is Static P at the moment.
You're welcome.
It happens from time to time.
Yep.
If you spend lots of time, see, the problem is Ryan got to spend a little bit of time in person with me last week, and so now he's all deranged a little bit. Happens to the best of us. Oh my goodness.
Go. Okay.
Haley, thank you for coming to say hello. It's good to see you again.
You just came to say hi? Hey, I love you too. Thanks, Haley. You're awesome.
Ah, yes. Welcome, all of you. You guys look great. Kendra, I'm doing wonderful. Ryan, I don't know. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, you're doing wonderful, definitely.
I'm doing... Yes. Awesome. Well, welcome.
Question, right?
What's it? Yeah.
That was your question? Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I just needed validation.
Yes.
You know, that's
sure.
all I needed. For sure. So wow. Welcome everybody. It's Don't Worry Wednesday, the February 13th edition. It's the day before Valentine's Day. I see all the hearts in the chat. You guys must all be getting ready for the Valentine's Day celebration tomorrow. You need a bunch of heart-shaped chocolate and buy each other a bunch of heart-shaped cards and drive your heart-shaped car. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
How much does that cost?
I don't know. Google
Is it like a chocolate frame? Like the entire exterior is chocolate? So like
a heart. I didn't say a heart-shaped chocolate car. I said a heart-shaped car.
Oh, I thought it was a chocolate car. Okay, never mind. We're good. That would still be expensive, though. That'd be even more expensive, to be honest.
Yes, it would.
Metal's generally more expensive than chocolate, but I mean, it depends.
Yeah, you'd only be able to drive it in the winter because then it wouldn't melt.
Yeah, that's kind of like, yeah.
Thank you, Pokemon fan, for the chocolate.
Unless it was never processed. Because the beans themselves don't melt.
That's true.
It only melts because of all the sugar.
That's right.
So.
Good call. Good call. Well, at any rate, welcome everybody to Don't Worry Wednesday. I am Joe, and above me is Ryan. Our producer is Jesse. He's amazing. He's making sure we this actually happens. And our chat room hostess is Princess. Thank you, Princess, for everything you do. She keeps us on track, keeps everything organized between the chat and the website, and it's just amazing to see all the people that help us out when we do these shows. And welcome everybody. You guys, this is the reason we do this show, is for all of you. We're so glad you guys are here. We are not professional therapists or counselors or policemen or anything like that. We are simply just friends, and we want to offer friendly advice and perspective. Maybe we can help you along the journey if you're having some kind of an issue. So if you are having an issue at any point, feel free to put it in the chat, or you can post it on our website at this link right here. Boom, right there. Or you can also email us at dww@bss.studio. Bang, that one right there. So we've got different ways to get your post in there. So we have a few that we haven't gotten to yet. We have one from Cherry.
Yes.
We have one from Angel. We have one from Science Rocks. And I think we did the one from Anonymous, right?
Yes, we did the anonymous one.
Okay. Cool. And I know we recently did one from Pokemon Fan. But yeah, so we currently have, Pokemon Fan made an intro.
An
video intro.
Ah.
Cool.
I'll have to check that out sometime.
Yes. Pokemon Fan, if you want to send us a link to your video intro, I'm sure we would like to check it out. Yeah, Science Rocks actually posted a new one right there on the website. Yeah, I think that's what we got. We also have one from the Slightly Above Average Joe. And that is one, if no one else is here, we can, he has given us permission to go over his when he's not here. So
yeah.
Yeah. So once again, if any of you guys are having any kind of an issue, feel free to post it. We would love to talk about it. If you want it to be anonymous, go ahead and email dww@bss.studio. And speaking of bss.studio, you all should go there. If you're not there, register and become a part of the community over there. I'm telling you, there's some great people on that website, and they will encourage you to no end. It's just a fantastic community. So, yeah. So go there, yeah. Princess. Thank you for posting the link. And I don't know. What do you say? What do you say we get rolling here, Ryan? What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm just looking for the spreadsheet. I can't find that right now.
Uh-oh.
I will find
it. Would probably be under your Google account.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now, and it's not in here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my email. And,
I know where it is.
Let's see, send me a link. There we go. Thanks, Princess. I was like,
are you an anonymous jackalope?
Don't call me that. You know I'm sensitive about that. You know I'm sensitive about my jackalope.
Somebody is an anonymous jackalope. Somebody
don't call me that.
Is an anonymous giraffe.
Ooh.
And somebody is an anonymous ibex. Ooh, look at that. Man, oh man.
I don't know what that is.
They're all animals.
Cool. All right. I'm good to go. Let's get started.
You ready?
Yep.
All right. Fantastic. So we have one from Joseph Bohan, also known as the Slightly Above Average Joe. And he is posted directly on the website. So Joseph posts here, friends, I am faced with a difficulty. I've lost my grandmother this past week. She passed away from congestive heart failure. She was my dad's mom, but I find myself incredibly saddened because I was not able to go see her. And when I had the opportunity to go with my father a few years ago, I made a mistake and we did go and visit them. My grandfather was alive at the time. I'm afraid that it's partially my fault that my dad could not go see them. I'm afraid that I put too much emphasis on work, such that I have missed out on life, the life of my grandparents. What do I do? And that's from Joseph Bohan. Wow, Joe, I'm so sorry for your loss, and my heart goes out to you. That definitely can be very painful to lose someone in your family like that. So my thoughts and prayers are with you as you heal. But yeah, Ryan, what do you have any thoughts on this topic here?
Sure. You know, of course, it's always hard when you lose someone close to you, especially when you don't necessarily get the chance to say your final goodbyes, or you know that you've missed opportunities to spend time with that person. Because then, you know, there's a void there. There's an empty space. And that empty space hurts, right? And that's kind of weird, but yeah, it does. And I mean, I've said this before, but it's always good to pay attention to that feeling. Because sorrow isn't bad. Sorrow is a good thing. We are built to have sorrow, and sorrow is a very important part of our life. A lot of times we don't like that feeling, so we try to escape it and run away from it. Um, and of course, we do want to heal through it, but we learn a lot through our sorrow. Um, and sorrow is sometimes one way of paying respects. Um, the reason you feel that is because of the value of that person's life. What's beautiful is that, you know, according to your own religion, Joseph Bohan, um, it's not completely over. There is eternity after. Um, so there is that, and that is nice. Hopefully, you won't have to worry too much. But if you are worried, you can always pray. Prayer does a lot of good for us, a lot of good for them, a lot of healing. But yeah, how do you cope with that? I think one of the things you got to shy away from is to make sure you don't say, the woulda, shoulda, coulda. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to drag yourself down saying, "Oh, I should have done this, I should have done that," because you can't go back and change it. I
Mm.
mean, it's okay to think those things now because now in the future, hey, if I need to go see someone, I need to go see them, right? Maybe lesson learned, but don't beat yourself up over it because yeah, you can't go back into the past, and really it's not your fault. I mean, it's obviously not your fault that the person is now your grandma is no longer on this earth. um, so obviously you can't beat yourself up over that, but you could beat yourself up over not being able to go see them. And again, I can understand that, but it's okay. um, because life goes on for both of you, if you will. And you know, it doesn't help you to do that sort of thing, that sort of practice, to just kind of think, oh man, I should have been there, I should have been there. Yeah, maybe not. You know, it's not really your place now to decide, but you can allow yourself and allow God to make the best of it now. Now that situation is done with, God can make good of all bad things.
Hmm.
And so, again, you didn't really do anything bad. You didn't do anything evil. So you can't really feel too guilty about it. But yeah, I think it's okay to feel that sorrow. Um, and it's okay to sit in it and just think. But obviously, don't let it don't let it destroy you. Don't let it make you think negative things about you, because that's different than sorrow. That's not um, admirable. That's not what's the word? You feel sorry for the other person, and you feel sorry that they're no longer in this world, but you shouldn't feel sorry for yourself. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
So, I mean, yeah. I mean, you can kind of feel sorry for yourself because you don't get the chance to spend with them anymore, but you shouldn't feel sorry or upset at yourself for not spending the time you could have with them. Because again, it's in the past. And then you're making it about you and not about them. And then you start getting into other problems that lead to self harm, thoughts of self harm.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to go down that road because that
Mm-hmm.
road's not healthy for you. So, yeah, I mean, that's really all I can say about it. I haven't lost too much in my life. I mean, I did lose my great grandma, but I wasn't really that close to her um, because I was just young, very young. I remember when she died, and I didn't cry because I didn't understand what was going on at the time. Like, I did understand, but I didn't really so I didn't really know her that well. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can't really relate too much on family loss, but I can understand it, I suppose. But I'm sure Joe can relate a lot better. He's lived a few more years than I have, so I'm going to hand it over to
Just,
him. What he has to say
just,
about it.
just a few.
Like two.
Not, yeah, exactly. Just, well, maybe 3.
Mm-hmm. Or
But
negative, somewhere in the negative range.
no. Oh, Joe, hey, welcome. Good to see you.
Hey.
And I'm sorry, I'm sorry for your loss, Joe.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
It's definitely painful. No, yeah, I've experienced a fair amount of death. Actually, recently, it wasn't too long ago that my mom's side of the family lost like three people, like really close to each other. O- or two maybe. It just felt like a lot. It was like one after the other. It was crazy. And
Oh.
um and one person that died was my uncle, and I actually got to talk to him on the phone a couple weeks before he died, and he was ready to go. He was like, he was he would say he was living on borrowed time anyway for about 10 years because he had beaten pancreatic cancer about 10 years ago,
Mm.
and so he figured he got lucky. And then for the rest of this time, he's kind of been just kind of after having that near death experience there, he was like, okay, I'm gonna focus on what's important, you know. And he focused on his relationship with God, and fostering that. But yeah, it's no fun going through death because that person is no longer with us. But like Ryan was saying, because of your faith, you know, you can trust that, you know, you can entrust your grandma to her creator, and that's a beautiful thing. And you can live in the hope that you'll get to see her once again. Um, And one thing I want to focus on here in your post is I'm afraid I put too much emphasis on work.
Mm.
I can completely relate to that. Sometimes we just get carried away. We get so wrapped up into what we're doing to earn money, to provide for the people that we love, to provide for. I know you're married, so it's you and your wife, and you're trying to do your best to, provide food and shelter and all that stuff, and to do that requires an income, and your income requires that you work at something. So I can totally understand getting focused on that realm. It's really hard because in fact, I was on the phone with my brother just a few hours ago, and he lives about 500 miles away. And so I don't get to see him very often because he's self-employed and I'm self-employed, and so we both are working all the time. It's just crazy. So we talk on the phone once in a while, but we hardly ever get to see each other, and that's just kind of how our lifestyle is right now. We talk about hopefully getting to a point where we can spend some time together. Maybe we can figure some things out in our businesses so we can have a little bit more free time. That's kind of the point of building a business, is so then you can, hopefully build it to a point where it's running a little bit on its own. You can kind of give it a push every now and again to keep it going, but you have a little bit more free time. But I totally understand the feeling of being overworked and neglecting family. And I really got to that point too when these few people died recently, and it made me take a look at myself and like, what in the heck am I doing? What am I working so hard at? And is it meaningful? And what's it all for? Because I'm obviously neglecting these people around me, my family members that I love. I love them. It's not that I don't want to see them. It's just that all my responsibilities kind of piled upon me, and I didn't have a chance to go over and see them. But I also know they understand. They're wise. When I talked to my uncle on the phone a few weeks before he passed, he totally was understanding. He knew how busy I am. He knew that I've got a wife and two young kids and doing my best I can to provide for them. And he understood. He would have liked to have seen me, he said, but he totally understood where I was at and what I had to do and those responsibilities. And so I think that's probably the same way with others. And I would hope that I am that same way too when I'm in that position, where I know that the end is coming. And I'm looking around at all my family members, and nothing's going to change the fact that I love them. I'm not going to love them any less if they have work to do. And in fact, if they're running after a goal, I would be I'd almost, I'd be happy that they came to visit, but I'd be kind of like, hey man, go get back at it. Don't be worried about me. I'll be just fine.
Don't worry about me. Go. Yeah.
Right. Go live. You're going to be surrounded by death. And, like Ryan said, it's okay to be sorrowful. It's okay for that. There's a time and a place for mourning. There's a time and a place for surrounding people at the end of their life with love. And there's also a time for working. There's also a time for getting after it. Nothing just happens without us doing something. So you're going to have to put forth an effort. And sometimes it's tough to strike that balance and figure out where, okay, it's appropriate for me to work now. It's appropriate for me to take some time off. It's not always up to us when we get to take time off. Sometimes we have to work, even though we really, really, really want to have the time off. We just can't because we got to keep working. Sometimes we're bound by that. But one thing I think that Ryan said that's so important is don't take this opportunity to beat yourself up. Don't take that opportunity, because the opportunity is there, and it's going to be really easy for you to look back at these recent experiences and just hammer yourself mentally. Just be like, oh my gosh, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And the guilt seeps in and everything. But a lot of times I look back on situations and I look at who I was. I look at the way I thought at the time. I look at where my personal growth was. And I think back to that moment and I was like, you know what? I don't think I could have done it any different because of where I was at. I think that was how it played out, because that was the best choice I could make at the time. So even though we can look back and we can learn and we can say, all right, I could have done that better. It's also good to remind yourself that with the knowledge and the training that you had at the time, that was the best you could have done. Now you know more. And maybe it took that experience to learn this lesson. Those lessons are hard. And sometimes the most impactful lessons in our lives are the most painful ones. I know that's definitely the case for me. The times I've learned and grown the most, it hurt the most while I was going through it. The decisions I made that were mistakes, that I then look back and I go, oh, yep, I know how I would do it differently. If I hadn't made the mistake, I would never have learned the lesson. And so, like Ryan was saying also, God's going to use this to turn it to good. This negative experience that you've had can be turned to good because of the lesson. And know that no matter what happens, Joe, you are surrounded by people who love you. You're surrounded by people who accept you no matter what. Even amidst whatever decision you might make that might be a good decision or a bad decision, there are people in your life that love you without condition. And we are some of those people. So I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan and see if he's got anything more to say.
No, I don't really have anything more to say. But yeah, I wish you the best on just getting through And again, like Joe said, don't take the opportunity to beat yourself up, because that's not going to do anyone any good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if there's a lesson in it, cool, learn it. But if not, then um, have joy. Remember to find joy in those experiences, because there is something to be joyful about in someone's passing. But yeah, and if you're worried about it, just pray. That's probably the best thing you can do.
That is.
Regardless. So yeah. Well, thank you for the question, Joseph.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing your struggle with us. And yeah, we wish you the best, and we wish your grandmother the best, the very best.
Yep. So, well, I've noticed that some more people have come in.
Yeah, we got science with us.
We do. We have science with us. I saw Cherry came. So yeah, I think cherries.
By the way, Pokemon fan, your video that you just sent, the visuals are really cool for that. It's a very cool opener. And you did it with Powdowecta.
Well,
you did it with Powdowecto.
Oh man, I didn't even get to see, I just saw the link now.
Yeah.
Huh. How about that, everybody? Seconds, so. Whoa.
It's got audio, so.
It does. I'm going to have to watch it.
Yeah.
Sometime.
Cool. Would you like to go on to Science Rocks then? Or Pokemon fan has one now too. I guess Science is his first year. Oh, we got Cherries with us as well. So yeah, I think hers is first in the line then. The beginning of Malice.
Yes. Yes. Powdowecta. All right. Cherry. Cherry is here, and the beginning of Malice. This is the second section of her post, Fate and Malice. This is the beginning of Malice. So the story continues to unfold.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Cherry, for posting, and I will read your post here. So Cherry says, the beginning of Malice. This post is about the second section of the original Fate and Malice post, which was named The Beginning of Malice. Summary. I met this person who went by the name of Puppet. My life turned more digital as a result of Vamp, who was the first person to care for me and my mental health. Puppet invited me to a server she had, to which I rejected the invite. A week later, she came back to invite me again. I decided, sure, why not? And began learning more about Puppet. And I met many other people, girls, such as Naya, who all the boys would chase after, Tor, transgender, Dan, who I call Dan Dan, and was a young girl despite what the name suggests, Shadow, and then a bunch of others who weren't normally on as much as the others who went by Caden, Allie, and others I can't remember at the moment. They were all so different and unique. We had common interests, but we were each very different. I was told that we were all a big family, and that made me happy. Even though we were all different, I felt at home and like I belonged. I never had ever met such colorful and similar yet different people. It was beautiful, the feeling I got when I was around them. Puppet told me, as everyone's proclaimed leader, that she could fix me and my problems, so I trusted her. I had no issues and was happy, so I just spilled random issues I previously had. She didn't know how to fix me. This was the beginning of the fall. Issue. This is, well, spoiler alert, things end up falling apart. This entire story ends as a tragedy, for now, maybe even forever. That being said, the point I'm trying to convey is that I no longer have them in my life since they kicked me out. The problem is, and the thing that hurts the most is, I don't think I'll ever find such a strange, accepting, familial, similar yet so different and colorful group of friends like that ever again. And it hurts so badly. It's a fear more than a simple pain, honestly. And that is from Cherry. I will post a link. I think I'll post a link. I think.
Okay, Dr. Seuss.
I know that was totally Dr. Seussian statement.
Hey, Bree.
Hi, Bree. So yeah, so that's from Cherry, and go ahead and read through that, guys. I think that's there's a lot in there, and yeah, I'm sorry that this is a challenging situation you're going through, Cherry. But Ryan, you've spent a lot of time in online communities. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I really have spent a lot of time in a lot of different online communities. I will tell you, your suspicion that you'll never meet such a strange group of very different people. You will never meet that exact thing again. And that's awesome. Don't be sad about that. That's awesome, because the reason is because every single person out there that exists is different, and they're all different. Each person is unique. Each person has a personality with a past and a present and passions and desires and all sorts of different stuff. Every group is going to be different than the last. No two groups are going to be the same because they've got different people in them. And that's a beautiful thing. What you went through, what you had, was a beautiful thing. Don't ever regret it, and be thankful that you got to spend that time with them as much as you did. I'm sorry that they unfortunately kicked you out of the group, and I feel bad for you, but I also feel bad for them, because to have done that shows they were not in a good place. I mean, unless you did something awful, but I bet you didn't. And even if you did, it doesn't seem like you're the person that forgiveness would not go well with. Rather, that if they forgive you, you would just not change or help or do anything better. You know, like, I'm sure that whatever happened, they did out of self-hurt. They were hurting. And it's not necessarily that you hurt them, but more likely their pain, just whatever it was, caused them to kick you or ban you. Because sometimes some people can wrong us and we can feel bad, but it's up to us whether we want to exact revenge, which is selfish, or want to forgive them, which is charitable. And that's a hard decision for a lot of people to make. Most people aren't going to forgive. And so that's why I said I feel sorry for them, because one, I mean, now they're going through pain and they're aching in their heart, and what they did by kicking you didn't really solve that pain. Now they've got things they're worried about, trust issues and stuff like that they are coping with, and you are coping with now, and now you have that burden too. I also feel bad for them because they lost you, and you were I'm sure a fantastic and important part of that group. So yeah, it's I want to encourage you though, because like I said before, you'll never meet a group of the same people, right? Everybody's different. But what you can do is you can find a new group. You can find groups of people online or in real life in lots of places. And eventually you're going to find a group that you really hit it off with, and you're going to enjoy being with them a lot. It won't be the exact same people. It won't feel exactly the same, but you can cherish what you had when you had it and cherish what you have now as well. And hopefully those people that did remove you from their group will eventually find their way in the world and learn forgiveness. and I hope that you can forgive them too. And one of the main reasons I say I hope you can forgive them is because um, you might feel like you've already forgiven them, and I'm sure you have in a good part. Um, but you said that you have a fear of that pain, um, and I think one of the best ways to work yourself out of that fear is to go out into the world and be fearless. And but you have to forgive those people. You have to forgive those people for making the wrong choice.
Mm.
Even if you did something wrong, and maybe what they did was just, I don't know. But either way, if you felt like you were hurt, and if you're scared to meet new people, or that sort of thing, you have to remember to forgive them and be a forgiving person. Because here's the thing: you cannot expect any friendship to last forever if you don't have a foundation of forgiveness and love. I mean, imagine a married couple saying, till death do we part, right? Except if you ever do anything wrong, I'm going to hold it against you for the rest of your life. Like, that relationship, already is not going to last. It doesn't work. It doesn't. And that's the same way with friendships. Friendships, you need forgiveness because at some point in time, someone's going to hurt you again. But now the cool thing is, now you've already been hurt. And that doesn't sound cool, but that is so cool because now you are given the chance to forgive and to overcome it, so that when someone hurts you again, that's your friend, they do something wrong, you won't be the person to push them away. Because you know what that's like. You'll be the person that pulls them closer when they wrong you. Not to gratify them, not to say, hey, you can hurt me all you want. No, you gotta stand strong and say, hey, you can't hurt me. That's not cool. But then you also have to bring them in for the hug. You have to allow them to have that forgiveness and come closer in relationship in spite of the pain that you feel. What you're going through is a chance to grow and to learn and strengthen yourself. And that fear that you're feeling, it's a real fear. It's a real pain. It's a real, and it makes sense. It does make sense. It's not unlogical, but you can use this experience to grow. And I think that's the next logical step. That's the most beneficial thing you can do for yourself, is to take this experience and grow from it. You said it was for several mistakes, and I promised I'd change, but each time I ended up going back to who I was, so they began to no longer trust when I said I'd changed. Okay, that's all right. I mean, I think almost all of us have been in that boat. I mean, I'm not kidding. I think all of us have done that. All of us have been in the boat. All of us are like, I'll change if they'll fix it. God, please help me. Seriously, please. Like, I want to change. I want to be done with this, and then sometimes those things, they just stay, they just stick for years, sometimes only months, sometimes only days. But life carries on even when we don't change. And believe it or not, even when you don't think you're changing, you're still good. You're still valuable. You're still infinitely valuable. You're still beautiful. And your desire to change is very important. It's a valuable desire. It's a good desire. It's a good thing. even if you feel like you're not changing, or even if you try to change and you don't, or even if you try to change and then you give up, and then you try to change and then you give up, and then you try to change and you give up, and you make mistakes, that intention is beautiful. And that's a good part of you. And so you should keep that part of you, that desire for good. It's a good thing. Um, the one last and you got to keep that desire. And one important thing is to be thankful.
Mm.
Um, be thankful. You know, I remember I was doing, I can't remember what it was, but I was suffering through something. I was talking to a priest, and the priest, was like, well, rather than uh focusing on the problem, why don't you just be thankful for all the times that you've overcome it, and for all the times that God has given you um, help in this area, for all the times you've prayed for it. Even though you might not see it, be thankful for all the times you've improved, even if it was only for a day. And that really did help a lot. To be thankful for it kind of encourages your mind rather than punishing yourself over not changing all the time, because we wear ourselves down
Hmm.
and we give in. So you gotta try to be thankful. That's important. Um, and then one last thing I wanted to talk about uh, was I'm trying to skim through it real quick. Uh, um, oh, yes, that's what it was. This person, puppet, said that they could fix you. I wonder if that was the exact words they said. Um, and I think that that is admirable. I think their intention was good. Um, I feel like they probably meant what they said. They meant that they wanted to help, and I think that's beautiful. That's good. And you should appreciate them, even if maybe in the end they betrayed you or didn't forgive you or whatever. You should appreciate them and what they helped you in the areas that they did help you. Um, Now, like you said, the honest truth is they really couldn't change you, or they couldn't fix you. Rather, they couldn't fix you. Um, and that's that's the truth. That's the truth. Um, we're all broken, but at the same time, we're not so broken that we are out of service, if you will. We are never incapable. We are never broken to the point where we're not valuable. No
Hmm.
matter how far we fall into brokenness, we are still infinitely valuable. Our value does not change. Even if someone can't perform actions or functions, just because they can't do something doesn't mean they're not valuable. Value isn't based on what the person can do or how much good the person has done in the world. The value is based on the human being and their dignity and what they're born with. Um, and that's awesome. And you have to remember that about you. Um, you're not someone to be fixed. You're someone to be healed and to go through healing. But you're not someone that needs to be fixed, if you will. You might have to fix your attitude from time to time. Um, but honestly, uh, there's nothing you can do that'll make you more valuable. But there is something you can do that'll add more good to the world and add more value to the world. But your value stays the same. So there is a reason to strive to grow. Um, but don't be hard on yourself, because that will never help you. Um, so when this person says they can fix you, perhaps it was a, a bit of a bold statement. Um, I don't think I could ever tell anybody I can fix you, because I don't know that. A lot of times I tried to help people in the past, and in the end, nothing came of it. At least not in the time I knew them. Sometimes people listened to me. Sometimes just being around them helped. And sometimes, no matter how hard I tried, nothing changed. Nothing fixed, it seemed. Right? Every person's different. And honestly, the best thing you can do if you're trying to help someone is just be their friend and love on them and set a good example. Find value in them. Tell them they're valuable. Show them that you think that they're valuable by really, really wanting to know them and wanting to, and being interested in what they think, to validate their thoughts, their opinions, their passions. And I think you had that, to a degree with this group. And that's awesome. So rejoice, be glad because you had that. Don't be sad that you don't have it anymore because it's time to move on. And moving on is what you tried to do all along. See, sometimes in life, we find something that is comforting or that is joyful, and it's a beautiful thing, but it holds us back because when we see that, we grow complacent. I remember I had a girlfriend, actually, this happened to more than one of my girlfriends, where, I told them, I love you. It doesn't, no matter what happens, right? I love you. And because of that, they grew complacent with themselves. They no longer started to try to become better at anything. They said, they just felt like, well, I'm loved either way. So I don't have to change. Or even when I was like, yeah, but I mean, it would probably be good to try to grow or be more excited about these areas. Or, what are you passionate about? Be excited about life again, rather than being depressed and wondering why. But because they knew that no matter what, I would always be there for them, it kind of put them in this place where they felt like they didn't need to grow, because there was no force pushing them, no reason to grow, because it didn't matter whether they grew or not. What they wanted, they already had. And so I feel like that could have been where your position, what you wanted most, you had. But because of that, it held you back. And I know that's kind of weird and sad. But that's how life is sometimes. And so sometimes things are taken away and they seem like curses. But every curse is a blessing. It's a blessing in disguise. But you have to make it that blessing. You have to realize that it's a blessing and then start to focus on that and make it into something good. Because otherwise, you're just going to beat yourself up and it's going to do nothing good at all. So hopefully that'll help. Hopefully that'll steer you in the right direction and give you some encouragement to move forward through this. But yeah, I'm gonna let Joe talk about some of this stuff. So thanks for listening.
Yeah, Ryan, that was absolutely beautiful, and I'm so glad that you went first, kind of, because so many things you said I wanted to say.
You can say it.
I can say it again. One of the things I love how Ryan was pointing out the difference between being fixed and being healed. There is a difference there. They're not necessarily the same thing. Being fixed has like a functionality component to it, whereas healing has a wellness and like an overall psychological health or spiritual health or even physical health, whatever type of health aspect to it. So in like your overall well-being. So one thing I think that illustrates this is how you respond to either fix the problem or heal the problem. There are two different responses you have. A lot of times, and I have fallen into this trap for most of my life. So this isn't something, if anybody out there struggles with this particular thing, just know that it's a completely natural response to anything painful. And this is the way I would fix an issue. And that is, I would put up a defense. I would say, I'm never going to feel like this again. I am going to defend myself. I'm going to put up a wall, basically, and block out the world from this particular part of me. And it did not involve forgiveness. It was just me saying, all right, I'm not letting anybody touch me there in that area mentally or spiritually again. Nobody's ever going to even come close to that area again. So I'm just not even going to approach that, and boom, there it was. There was my defense. And that fixed the problem because I was never going to get hurt like that again.
Mm-hmm.
But that's different from being healed, because one of the thing I learned was that wall I put up eventually trapped me. I put up this wall, and then I was like, hey, now I don't hurt in that area anymore. Cool. And then something else would happen, and I'd put up another wall. And I'd be like, okay, I'm not getting hurt like that again either. And then I'd put up another wall, and then another wall, and then another wall. And before I knew it, I was trapped, and I wasn't even myself. I was trapped in a whole bunch of bad habit patterns, because every time you put up a wall like that, where you're like, I'm not going to get hurt by this again, you actually alter your own behavior, and you alter your own, like, you alter yourself to the point where you're not really yourself anymore.
You restrict and limit yourself, maybe.
You do. Absolutely. Absolutely. You stop yourself from living fully. You stop yourself from, opening yourself to experience life as it's meant to be, and letting yourself be you. And like Ryan was saying, you are a beautiful person, Cherry. You are infinitely valuable and beautiful. And, you just as you, even though you make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. Just ask anybody who knows me.
I don't know you because I've never seen the mistakes, so clearly.
Oh, heavens, you've seen lots of mistakes. You've helped me fix mistakes. And that's the difference. Whereas when you put up a wall like that, it's coming from a point of, okay, I'm going to block all kinds of feeling in that area from now on. And what ends up happening is you block the bad feeling, yes, but you also block out the good. And you alter your behavior, and you end up in these habit patterns. If you're anything like me, what happened was I fell prey to all kinds of vice and addiction from doing that. There were all kinds of negative implications that happened between using drugs or, other types of escapism. And it just led me to a path of vice, where then I was addicted to these behaviors, and it just became this downward cycle. It was really quite intense. Until recently, I learned the power of forgiveness, like Ryan was saying. That's how you heal instead of fix an issue. Whereas to fix an issue, you're going to block it out. To heal from something, you're going to forgive. And what happens when you forgive is you don't block things out. You are reopening. You've forgiven, you've canceled whatever debt somebody has with you. You cancel it out, and you're like, okay, I'm going to offer you the grace, and I'm going to forgive you for this. You don't even have to tell them to their face. You just say it in your heart. I'm going to forgive them for being this way, and I'm not going to let it hold me back anymore. Sometimes you have to go back to those moments in your life and re-experience that pain, which can be very difficult sometimes. But that's sometimes part of the forgiveness process. You go back to that moment, and you feel all those emotions, and you remember what it was like to be in that experience, and you experience that pain again, and then you let it go through forgiveness. And then it's gone. And then you don't have to put up a wall. You don't have to put up the defense. And you get to be yourself again. You get to be who you really want to be. You get to, what happened for me when I started down this process, it was astounding. A lot of my bad habits got cleared up. A lot of addictions got cleared up. It was just amazing how all these different areas straightened out, and they didn't even seem attractive to me anymore, which was just crazy. And then I was able to open up and be myself and just relax and love people and just open my heart to them and say, you know what? It does not matter. If you hurt me, this is what's going on in my head. If this person hurts me, then I get another chance to forgive, and I can go through this experience again. And it's such a joyous experience to feel that relief. It makes you almost in a sadistic way. You look forward to being hurt again, so you can feel the joy of the relief of forgiveness, which is incredible. So I wanted to dig into that first, because that is such a huge thing. When I learned the power of forgiveness and how all that worked, it fixed so many things. It healed so many things. And by healing, it fixed them. It tore down the walls. I was no longer trapped. I was no longer in a prison of my own addiction and feeling and all that. I was free. I was free to be who I am and to be comfortable being who I am. And it was really, really cool to be in that position again. One thing, I mean, people will say, you know, I can fix a person. None of us can ever fix anybody, like Ryan was saying. Like Science Rocks had said in the chat, you know, nobody can fix another person, mainly because we're not in their head.
Yeah.
We don't know all the different nuances of what's going on in your head from this experience. We can only kind of take a guess and maybe offer some principles and stuff like that. But it reminds me of what really, really excellent teachers say about teaching. And it's what really, really excellent doctors say about healing their patients. It's the same type of thing. The student learns the stuff themselves. A teacher guides them and encourages them in order to learn the stuff on their own. That's what a good teacher does. A good teacher does not just lecture and pound facts into somebody's head. A good teacher assists a student in teaching themselves, in learning things themselves. They can guide them to the answers, but really it's the encouragement. It's the showing of the resources rather than being the resource themselves. You lead them to the resources where they can then get the information themselves and learn themselves. A doctor, when a doctor heals a broken bone, a doctor doesn't heal a broken bone. The body does. What the doctor does is resets it, puts it in the right place so it will heal properly. That's what a doctor does. A doctor assists the body in healing itself. And when somebody says, I'm going to fix your problem, nobody can do that. I could never. I hope that on this show, we don't ever give somebody the impression that we're going to fix your problems for you, because we can't do that. That's impossible. All we can do is love and encourage and offer some perspective. And then hopefully through that, that's going to be like setting the bone in place. You are able to do that themselves. So then you can heal yourself through this process, through maybe a little bit of extra knowledge, maybe through learning a few things, maybe being guided to a book or something that can have an impact and help you to think better. But Cherry, that's so important, that what Ryan was saying, you know, you go through these experiences so you can be stronger. Now, just like the building up of the wall versus the healing of the pain, just like the two different things, and the difference is whether forgiveness is there or not, right? And that's also the difference between becoming stronger through the experience or becoming callous through the experience. Without forgiveness, you become callous and hardened and, you know, closed off to the world and mean. Through forgiveness, you become healed and stronger and able to withstand more and more of the things like that. Because, you know, just because people come into our lives and people leave our lives and these experiences happen, that's going to happen. It's happened to me so many times I can't even count. People that have passed through my life that, you know, I've experienced for a while and then no more, and then, you know, and then another group of people I've been with them for a while and then nope, no more. And I'm thankful for the moments we had that were good. And I try and learn from the moments we had that weren't so good. But those experiences with the right attitude become experiences of growth rather than experience of hardening, if that makes sense. And the last thing was, don't ever, I mean, you've said here that it's a fear more than a simple pain, the fear that you won't find a group of friends like that ever again. I totally understand that. I totally understand. You know, I'm never going to meet a group of friends like this again. And that's absolutely true. You never will, because you won't meet those same people again. And every single person is unique. But you'll meet more people that love you. And you'll meet more people that care about you. And hopefully you have here at Don't Worry Wednesday and in the BSS community, hopefully you found some people that love you and care about you and will love you no matter what. We understand you're going to make mistakes, and we're not going to kick you out because you make a mistake. I'm sorry, that just seems a little bit hard edge. I don't know what mistake it was you were making, but you know, like there's an abundance of love to go around regardless. And if someone truly has the heart of wanting to connect with people and wanting to be here, I mean, if someone's just a troll and they're being disruptive and all that kind of stuff, then we might ban them because we don't want them to disrupt stuff, you know, but that's only going to be after we've confronted them on the issue, you know, and said, look, do you want to be part of this community, or do you just want to troll people? You know, are you just trying to look to be disruptive? Or are you just trying to hurt? If you're just trying to hurt people, then, you know, go hang out on Facebook or something. You know, but if you want to be part of a community that's helping people grow, then come here. And if you make a mistake, hey, no big deal. Everybody makes mistakes. You know, we're going to love you no matter what. And so, Cherry, you're going to find other groups of friends.
Mm-hmm. You are.
They're going to be vastly unique. They're going to be different than the ones you were a part of, than the groups there.
And you won't need to compare them.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be glad you have what you have when you have it.
Ah, and Cherry says the next section is about all the mistakes I made. I did a lot of bad things, and so did they. Okay. All right. So in the next installment, we'll address the mistakes, and we'll see what kind of mistakes you made.
We'll go through that whole thing.
Yeah, I guarantee I've made plenty of mistakes too. And
yeah, that's part of where we learn our forgiveness is we're like, wow, I did a lot of stupid things. Mm-hmm. So who am I to be like, all, you know, you're a terrible person, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I did all of those things before. Yeah, no.
And I had that experience on the road today, as a matter of fact. Just today, because a dude did something stupid when he was driving, and I watched him. I'm like, oh, And for a split second, I was like, oh, it's frustrating. I was like, you know what? I've been that guy before. I've done that before.
Yep.
So, yeah, sorry, Ryan, I totally interrupted you. What were you about to
No,
say?
that's it.
Oh, okay. So at any rate, Sherry, thank you so much for posting. And yeah, like I'm looking forward to the next section
Yeah, me too.
where we can kind of unpack the next bit of things.
Thanks for opening up and sharing this with us all, Cherry P. That
Oh
shows
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of a lot of strength. Honestly, just opening up and talking about it and going through your experiences, that's awesome. Because one of the things, I guess, the closing note is, it's okay to be vulnerable.
Mm.
You made these friends and you were vulnerable to them. You loved them. You were friends with them. I mean, it was a community, and yeah, you guys hurt each other, but that was because you guys were vulnerable, and that's good. We all need to open up our hearts to have not block them off from pain, because that vulnerability creates, what's the word, intimacy in friendships. One of the reasons that you can be so close with a person is because you're vulnerable to them. And that vulnerability translates into intimacy. And that sparks a true, close, beautiful friendship and relationship. And so if you really want to be close with people, you got to make sure you don't put up those walls that block any sort of pain, because then you also won't get a whole lot of joy. You won't get a whole lot of that closeness that you desire. It's just the way it is. In fact, that pain that we cause each other is also a very beautiful thing. And one way I'd like to look at this is this happens in friendships, but also happens in marriages. If two people are married and they hurt each other, that's not nice, but it's also beautiful, because at the end of the day, the bottom line is they still love each other, which means that pain that they cause each other is signs of where they need to grow. So really, when you cause pain to another person, or that person causes pain to you, it's just a sign to say, hey, this is part of me that needs a little bit of help. Could you help me, please? Like, I wronged you. Could you help me fix that problem with me? Because I don't want to wrong you. Can you help me grow? That's what a good relationship does. And so when we hurt each other, that's actually not necessarily a bad thing. That hurt exists in nature to show us where we need to grow. And it shares it with the person that can help us grow through it, because they're going to be there to support us and to encourage us through it. And so when you hurt me, my first instinct is not, ouch, that hurt. I feel terrible and I'm angry. When someone hurts me, my first instinct is, okay, seems like we've got something to work on. Let's talk about this. And then let's figure out how to grow from this. That's one of my first responses to pain when I'm in a relationship with someone and someone says something really mean to me. My first response almost always is I almost tune it out, and then I instantly turn into let's move forward now mode, which is something I hope everybody can experience, because it is really beautiful. I don't do that perfectly. I don't do that flawlessly. Sometimes I get upset, but most of the time, if I'm in the right mind, I can, I can move to, hey, this is a chance for us to grow together, rather than this is a chance for us to separate. See, there's a pretty big difference between those two. So yeah, anyways, that's why we get pain in relationships. It seems weird, but that's how we grow, and that's how we strengthen the bonds. And that's why it's important to be vulnerable in our relationships, to be open to pain, but also open to forgiveness.
Yes.
growth.
And it's amazing too. It's kind of like exercise, and like I said earlier, the pain is amazing when the healing happens. The joy of the healing happens. You experience the pain, and yeah, it hurts because it's pain.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you heal, when you experience the healing, the forgiveness and the healing, and the joy that comes from that, it's so much higher, and it's wonderful. You,
Mm-hmm.
and at that point, you're thankful for the pain, because without the pain, you never would have experienced the joy.
Thanks, science. I think it's kind of funny, but growing up in my life, I think everyone, all of my friends that I ever met, other than my brother, as in like Ryan's never mad, Ryan's never angry. I can't even imagine it. I'm like, I mean, I've been there before.
Yeah, it's mostly silence.
Yeah, but
Did you hear that? Did you hear that silence for that moment? That was Ryan was mad.
You know, I'm just so angry. No, you know, one time I got mad enough where I threw something.
What?
Yeah, it was an empty plastic bottle at my brother because he was. I'm not playing. Oh, my brother did this, and I'm mad at him. I'm not playing that. I'm telling you what he did, just for the fun of it, because it's so stupid. He was going, "You're stupid, arista, 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 arista." He went on for like 2 hours about it, and I was like, "Dude, shut up!" And I like threw a bottle at him, and the funny thing is, I missed, and it went flying at my mom's glass, like crystal glass, like glasses, like wine glasses, whatever. And it went, and it passed them perfectly, and then bounced off of a mirror, and didn't break anything. And we were just like, oh, Ryan, and I was like, I don't care. And then that actually broke my madness. I was like, yeah, I'm not really mad anymore. I'm okay. But that's probably the worst I ever experienced, that anger.
Wow.
Yeah, I threw it. I threw an empty plastic bottle.
Threw an empty plastic bottle.
Yeah,
and it's because of your older brother. That makes sense though.
Yeah.
Older brothers do that. I had an older brother. I have an older brother.
Oh, by the way, you were talking about your older brother earlier, and I was like, man, I want to go see him again too. He's awesome.
He is. He is. Just talked to him on the phone today. He's fun. He's fun. He's awesome. He's pretty hyper, and he's got attention deficit disorder and stuff. He drives a big old fuel truck around.
Nice.
So yeah, he's a fun guy. But anyway, Cherry P, thank you so much for the post. And like Ryan was saying, thank you for opening up to us and allowing us to go through these. Because I know that I learned so much from listening to call-in shows, and I'd never called into a call-in show. I've never posted anything in a show, but I've learned so much just by listening in and hearing how other people's struggles. And I'm like, oh, I've dealt with that same exact thing. And I think all of these issues that we deal with, there are people that are listening that aren't, they're probably just lurking, and that's great. We love every single one of you, and we hope that the stuff that we say is impactful for you in some way. So, but Cherry, thank you again.
Yes, thank you very much.
And thanks for posting the whole thing, and I can't wait to go through the next one.
Yes.
So looking forward to it. But yeah, so moving on, is Angel still here?
Angel. Are you here?
Yeah, Joe has a brother, Jesse.
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Jesse says, I'm here,
I'm not.
just like Joe has a brother,
Brother?
or maybe he told me once, but I don't remember.
Oh man, dude, Joe's brother's awesome. He'll sing like old school Mario music with you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. One time
Yeah,
we, yeah.
there was a time, this was great. There was a time I was in like a funk rock jam band, kind of like um Fish with a funk edge to it.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Is
was
that
great.
PHISH?
What's that?
Is
Fish,
that
yeah, Phish. So like the jam band where we could just jam out for like an hour on a song, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
But it was really funky and it was cool. And my brother got up on stage with us and played a mandolin.
In a funk band.
We're all up there in our flashy, cool, shiny clothes, and he shows up there with his mandolin and his bib overalls, and he's got up there on stage with us. It was great.
Nice.
We had a blast.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if Angel, if you are not currently here, yeah, it doesn't seem like Angel's around right now. Angel, you're next in line. So when you show up again, we will handle yours next. But looks like the next one then would be Science. I know Science Rocks is here because I see your post that was like 2 posts ago.
You
So.
could go far. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So Science Rocks has posted for us about a paranoid friend. And I will post the link so you guys can all read along if you'd like. There's that. And I can't forget this one too.
I got you, Jesse. Joe got you. Okay.
Ooh.
Joe's
quick draw McGraw right there, man.
Nice.
Yes. So Science Rocks. His topic says, this is a question that's more for a friend of mine than myself. So basically, I made a new friend online not too long ago, and they were really nice, but also very emotional and easily upset in a depressive way. They have trouble confiding in friends and don't talk about their problems very often, if at all. They were very nice and eager to talk to me for a while, but recently they almost completely stopped talking to me, save for the occasional comment. They do seem to be aware of their paranoia and mood swings, but when I asked if they had seen a psychologist, they refused to talk about it. Personally, I think it's more than just some simple paranoia. Rather, I believe they have paranoid personality disorder, though I don't know if they know. They seem to have a depression of some kind as well, and they tend to blame themselves for every little negative thing they're involved in. I want to talk to them again and want to help them too. I care about them, but I don't know what to do about a situation like this unless they tell me what they're thinking. I've tried messaging them several times, but they've always left me on read with no response. I'm at a loss for what to do. Ironic, considering the fact I'm studying psychology, LOL. Any advice?
Yeah. Hey, Science. Thanks for caring so much.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really awesome. And it's so great that you are doing your intentions. You have such high and good, wonderful intentions, and want to help people. I think that's awesome. I'm definitely proud of you. And psychology is a very what do you call that? Honorable job. I think in our society today, a lot of people are like, psychologists don't trust them, they're evil or something like that, you know? But honestly, it's one of the most noble and honorable jobs out there in the world today. So I just want to encourage you to keep on doing what you're doing. You're also not a psychologist yet. That's great. Well, hey, maybe when you become a full-fledged psychologist, we can have you on the show and you can
even maybe beforehand. I tell you, Science, just to interrupt Ryan really quick because he interrupted me. Um, no, it's very
I'm not
much.
sorry. I interrupted you.
Yes, I'm very
I'm gonna do
honored.
it again though too. Okay, I'm sorry. I won't do it again.
Thank
I
you.
apologize. I'm sorry, Joe. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, it's totally fine. I just wanted to say how honored I am that you're here listening to us, being a psychology major and learning about psychology, and that you come here and help out and everything. Like it's amazing, and I'm so glad that you're here, and I hope that you continue to come forever and ever and ever as long as we do this stream. So Ryan, take it away.
Yeah.
I will not interrupt you on
Please
purpose.
do. Oh, you already did it. No, I'm just kidding. Good grief. All right. Yeah. Sorry for interrupting you though. Yeah. So this is an interesting thing, because it is very much like you said. If they don't tell you what they're thinking, how can you help them with that? It is difficult, but you can see some things without them telling you, right? You've come to some conclusions on your own. You're not sure maybe about some things. You're not sure if they have a paranoia disorder. You think they might, but that's just a thought. But you can tell based on how they're acting that they have certain traits and habits in their personality that aren't healthy. You can see signs of depression and a lack of self-understanding of worth, things like that. And so you've made a good assessment. What you can do when you don't know what they're thinking, obviously you can always ask, but you have to do that with a lot of tact and carefulness. But if they're not talking to you, then obviously you can't even ask that. The most important thing you can do to help somebody is, rather than, and I know we've discussed this before, but I'm going to repeat myself, rather than focusing on how to address their specific issue, how to help them through it, what kind of advice to give, or talking to them and carrying out conversations, letting them vent and that sort of thing. Rather than doing all of that, one of the most important things you can do is make them feel validated. Make them feel like their opinions count, like they are extremely important to you and to the world. And the best way you can do that is through actually not just saying those things, but doing that, showing them by what you're saying or by what you're doing. You can tell somebody, hey, I appreciate you. You're like super valuable to me, blah, blah, blah. Like that goes a certain distance. But if you really want to ingrain in people's heads, you show them that you believe that their opinions are important, that you believe that they as a human are important, that they're valuable, just by asking them for advice yourself. If you're having a problem, whatever it may be, you can go to them and ask them. Say, hey, I've got this problem. Can you help me? Oh my gosh, if you just say that, you don't even have to you don't even have to say what the problem is. You go to them with that comment, hey, I've got a problem right now. Can you help me? They're going to be like, who wants my help? That's going to make them feel so smart. Mm. It's going to make them feel like you trust them. And that's important. Because if you want to make headway, you need to build a relationship. And it sounds like right now your relationship isn't super tight. In religion, the most successful way to evangelization, if you will, is to make a friend. And not just make a friend, make an honest friend. Make someone that you are going to love and be their friend, regardless if they ever even care about your religion and whatsoever. You make that kind of friend. And then they just move all on their own. And the same thing is true if you want to help somebody. You make a friend. Mm-hmm. You make a friend, and you make that friend feel valuable by how you treat them, by how you talk to them. You make that friend feel like a friend. Okay, you said I thought it was. Oh, wait, I might have missed something. Oh, tact is my worst trait. I thought it was, but then again, I'm socially inept. So nice. Yeah, tact can be hard. And relationships are hard too. Yeah. Both of those things are hard. I think, tact is just a fail and succeed thing. You do something and you're like, okay, that kind of works, and so I can start doing that. Or you notice things about yourself when people say certain things and it hurts you or makes you feel awkward, then you know like what not to do to other people, kind of. But tact is one of those systems, one of those things you have to learn through trial and error, mostly. I can't really give it to you any other way than that. But and I think being social is also the same thing. You just interact with people and you get better with it. But the main thing, I guess, with both of them is if you have love and good intentions, that will get you most of the way there. And the rest is just learning how to express it the right way, or the way that they're going to most interpret the best. Because everyone has different personalities. Certain people get fired up with certain comments, and other people don't. Some people, you get them in a room with a bunch of people cheering like, yeah, dude, go get it. You can do it, and they get fired up. You put some people in that room and they're just like, shut down. Like, I don't want to be here. Please stop. Please. Everybody's different. And that's why you need to build a relationship so you can figure out what makes that person tick. You have to figure out that person out. Now, you get certain personalities, and most people of that personality are the same. Like, people who are a certain personality, you can figure out pretty quickly and be like, okay, this is the kind of person I can fire up just by being fired up myself and like talking to them. Honestly, though, that's pretty much every personality. You just fire yourself up and other people get fired up. But not everybody is a people person. Not everybody likes to be around people. Some people like tasks more than they like people. Some people like thinking a lot. And some people don't really want to think. They don't want to spend time doing that. They're just going to do something. There's also different people out there, and you can play to those personalities once you figure them out. I would suggest a book, Personality Plus. And I'm sure Joe has some other book recommendations if you'd like to read some more psychological interpretations and understandings of what other people have discovered through their studies. But anyhow, in this scenario, the best thing I can do, or the best thing I could imagine doing in your scenario, is build them up by making them feel like they're your friend and making them feel like their opinion matters to you. Go to them and seek their help whenever you feel like you have something you need help with. Or the classic example of, hey, do you have any good music I can listen to, like a playlist or something on YouTube? I mean, that'll make them feel validated. That'll make them feel like, oh, interesting. They want to hear, okay, sure. Because music is something a lot of people are passionate about. And then you make them feel like their opinion matters to you. That goes far. That goes far. So, or just make them feel smart. But yeah, that's my best advice. I'm gonna turn it over to Joe.
It's tremendous, and it's absolutely spot on. And Personality Plus is such a great book for learning how people tick. Another one along the same vein is QBQ, the question behind the question. that goes into a little bit of depth on personality types and how to interact and what types of questions will draw that person out, what type of what type of activities will help you engage with that person. As far as social ineptitude, some of the best books I've read too were How to Have Confidence and Power in Dealing with People and How to Win Friends and Influence People. Those two in particular have been tremendous in learning how people are, how I should be around people, how I can make myself, socially better. In fact, there was a time when I was so much like you, in the sense that I had no social skills whatsoever. I did, whenever I was around people, they'd want to not be around me. The people that did like me were people that were the easygoing, really, really, really calm and cool and collected people, because those are the only people that had enough patience to handle being around me. Everybody else they'd avoid me pretty much. Like if I was walking down the hallway, they'd like try not to make eye contact and, so it's pretty crazy. And Princess, it was a fun book to read. Personality Plus, yes, absolutely great book. And just an FYI for everybody that's listening, it won't be long. And if you go to bss.studio and click the store tab, we're going to have all these books available in the store. Now they're going to be fulfilled by Amazon. So you can trust it, you'll get it quickly and you'll get the right thing. But we're basically setting that up. So we're going to be posting all that stuff in our store, and then you can get this stuff right there. And then when we refer you to a book, you'll be able to just go to bss.studio, click on the store, and then the whole, the list will be there of all those different books that are there. So
then you be sure you're buying the right book too.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. And we'll be able to post links and stuff too. So anyway, and it'll help us out. There's just for being affiliates, they give us a little bit of kickback for referring people, which is nice. It helps us out to help you out. But at any rate, so that is coming very, very soon. So yeah, I would definitely go through those books that Ryan and I were just talking about. And one thing, like Ryan was saying, he said something very profound, and it was how religion spreads, and it's how anything spreads, really. It's you make a friend and you love them. You just accept and love them, and you develop that relationship, and you just be a friend to them and be patient and be understanding, and people do a lot of the work themselves in getting there. But what you've done is you've given them a safe environment to grow in. That was one of the most profound things. I mean, Ryan and his brother Kyle have been tremendously powerful in my life just because of that fact right there. They've offered me suggestions once in a great while, but more than anything, they've just accepted me for who I was. And they've said, hey, you know what? We're your friend. And even when I would do things that I know were offensive and or rude and whatever, and they would still be my friend. And what that did was that just gave me a place where I was comfortable enough to try to improve myself in different ways. And that is so powerful. So what you're dealing with your friend here, it sounds like you've done some things to try and help them. You've let them voice some stuff to you, and now they're just kind of gone. They leave, and that happens. Excuse me. People are like that. They will come and go. Sometimes, especially online, sometimes they just have a situation they got to handle. They're not going to be on for a little while. I've done that before. I've done that many times, where I've been in a chat with somebody, or back and forth messaging somebody, and then all of a sudden I'm just gone for a couple weeks because I had a whole bunch of stuff come up. There's all kinds of activities. I got kids in all kinds of extracurricular activities, taekwondo and basketball and, gymnastics now. And like, it's just nuts. And then car repairs and different maintenance issues, all kinds of things just pop up. So that can happen to people too. So it's not necessarily that they're just blowing you off. It's just that maybe their life got a little bit hectic. Maybe school got busy for them. Maybe their family situation got intense and they had to handle it. You never really know. But if you take the advice that Ryan said and just be their friend and be understanding, and while it's good to offer advice, I would use advice sparingly and use more love and encouragement and just helping them to feel comfortable. Science Rock says a little, I worry I may have upset them somehow too, as I can be kind of clingy when I worry about someone and know they're not busy, just not talking to me. Okay. That happens too.
Yeah. We all get that way.
Yep. So yeah, so I probably in that situation the best thing to do is just to back off and let them come back at some point. Just be welcoming, but not pushy. Try and remove some of the clinginess. That it's good to know that about yourself, so you can identify it when it's happening, and then you can move beyond it. So that's very a good thing to know about yourself. So, but I've quoted it before and I'll quote it again. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So you gotta start with that foundation. You gotta start with that comfortable relationship before you even think about nudging them in a certain direction to try and help them. Most of the time, the best help you can give someone is a listening ear. If you just listen and let them unload on you, it can be stressful sometimes. There are times when people have unloaded a whole bunch of stuff on me, and by the time they're done, I'm just like, whoa, like I feel really bad for them because they're just inundated with all this stuff in their life. But now I'm like exhausted because I just had to listen to it. But I've done that to other people as well, where I've unloaded on them and it just, and they were there to listen. But if you can just be there to listen and to offer your love and support and encouragement, that's going to go so far to helping them figure out the situation on their own. Many times, I know especially, this kind of seems to be a way that men and women are wired differently. Many times when guys talk about stuff, or when they bring a problem to light, it's because they're trying to figure out the problem and they're looking for advice. Otherwise, they just don't talk about it. They're going to try and fix it themselves. But when they start talking about it, it's because they're looking for some help to do it. Now, what I had to learn with my wife in particular, and it seems to be a trait of most women, I'm not trying to generalize, but it just seems to be that way, is that when they are voicing their issues, they're not looking for advice. Girls are super smart and they can figure out their problems on their own. It's just part of the way they figure these things out is by voicing it, by talking about it. And it's how, by putting it out vocally, they're able to sort through it in their brain, and then they come to their own conclusions. I have given my wife so much advice that was unwelcome because all she was doing was just trying to sort through the problem in her head just by talking, because that was the mechanism for her to solve the problem. And I have to always remind myself, she is a very intelligent woman. She can figure this out. She is figuring it out right now. And I am a bystander. I'm like a block of wood, basically a sounding board, somebody that can listen. And lo and behold, she figures it out because she's smart. And she didn't need my help. Now, there are times when I will say, are you looking for advice or do you just need somebody to talk to right now? I will ask that from time to time, because sometimes it seems like she's getting at a point where it's like she might be asking me a question or wanting me to do something. And so I'll ask the question. And most of the time she says, no, I'm just talking. I'm just talking to you, And then I know that my job then is to just listen and be there to listen and not offer advice. Not because when I start to offer advice, that gets perceived as, oh, you think I'm not smart enough to figure this out on my own. Well, forget you then. And I don't ever want to be that way. I want to give people the room and the space to figure these things out. But if I can somehow help them get to that point, then I've done my job. It's not about me being super smart and wise and talking and having all these profound statements. It's about somebody moving forward. And if I said nothing at all and they moved forward just by talking to me and me listening to them, then I succeeded. And it was the easiest thing I ever did because I didn't have to come up with anything smart to say. I just had to listen. So I don't know. Those are some things to think about as you go, as you move forward here, and hopefully they come back. I imagine it's just a matter of time before they start talking to you again. So we just kind of back off a little bit and let them come back. And if they don't, well, I don't know. Hopefully they can figure it out, and then you can just love them from a distance and pray for them. But that's pretty much what I have on the topic. Ryan, do you have anything else before we move on?
Sure. Just one quick thing is like sometimes, well, most people, they go where they have interest. And so naturally relationships, if people aren't interested in going next to a person or seeing a person, then they just don't. And so it's not necessarily anything you did or you failed to do, or anything that the person who's not talking to you now has failed to do. It's just that they don't have enough interest, and that interest was what was leading them into the relationship before, but it's not there anymore, and that's fine. That's very natural. I'm gonna guess that's what's going on here, based on the sounds of things. So, like Joe said, if you can back off and see what happens, or yeah, whatever. But yeah, try not to get too emotionally attached to you solving someone's problem, because just like Joe said at the end there, I've done this many times. You want to give advice because you want to help people, and you surely do. But also, you feel like their well-being is in your hands, as if you're responsible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not true. Mm-hmm. You are not responsible, and you also can't take credit. You can take credit for your actions, sure, but ultimately their health, their recovery is their own work. You've done your job to support and encourage them, but you didn't fix them, we can say. You didn't heal them. They healed themselves. Healing is a natural thing that we do through ourselves. Mm-hmm. You don't want to take that credit. I mean, you could. I mean, you really could. You say, I'm the one that helped them through this. That's true. You could take that credit, but it'd be better if you didn't, because then it puts you at a better standpoint emotionally. And it doesn't give you the opportunity to get attached where it's unhealthy, if that makes sense. It's kind of like the same thing as when people leave comments in my YouTube, and the nice ones, make me feel good. So then when I read a bad one, I suddenly feel bad. Whereas instead, if I can just not make my emotions dependent upon that person's comment, then I can take the mean comments as criticism, and the good comments as, hey, you're doing a good job. And they don't change the song at all. They don't change what I've done. And the same thing when you're helping somebody. If you get emotionally, if your emotions are being determined by their state of being based on your interactions with them, then it's just not healthy for you. Your emotions shouldn't be wrapped up in that sort of thing. Your satisfaction with yourself should not be determined on whether you helped somebody or not. Does that make sense? I can imagine, I've never been a psychologist, but I can imagine having that letdown or that pride of, I helped this many patients, or, I couldn't help that patient, or even going to the extent where like, they didn't let me help them, and then being aggressive and mean. Honestly, all you can do is try, and you put your words out there, you put your ears out there to listen, you put your time out there to give them, and you're just giving them a huge gift. You're giving them a huge gift of yourself, and then they get to do what they will, and that's awesome. The cool thing about that is, let's say this person never talks to you again. You don't know, though, that someday in the future, because of something you said, their heart was changed, or their heart could be changed, or something you said comes into their head. They're like, wait a minute, I don't know who said this, but, or I came up with this myself, even though they didn't, this idea, and now I'm going to try to incorporate this idea in my life. And then it helps them. You never know when that can happen. Mm-hmm. So your advice isn't in vain ever. Your attempts for good are never in vain. But yeah, just don't try not to get caught up emotionally in it, because that's not gonna move you forward or them forward. Your concern is important, but yeah,
I understand.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
I understand your sentiment, Science, when you said, of course, I don't look to take credit for their growth or take responsibility, but it is still frustrating to feel very left out, as it were, when they were so nice before. Absolutely. That is frustrating. But what Ryan was saying is super, super important. And yeah, if you just let them take the credit for themselves, that's a very empowering thing you can do for someone. Mm-hmm. You may know in the back of your mind, you'll be like, they totally plagiarized that, and like you might have gotten it from some other source and plagiarized it. Everything I say has probably been plagiarized from somebody else. Everything I learned was from somebody else. The only reason I know anything is because I learned it from somebody. Mm-hmm. So
better not to reinvent the wheel anyway. So
that's very true. Yes.
And honestly, we live a lot of our lives trying to do that. We're like, I don't take advice from nobody. My emotions are different. No one's experienced this before. You don't understand me. And then we find wisdom. And then it's like, truth is just truth. It's like, no matter how you got there, we all get there in different ways. And it's like, oh, you came to the same conclusion that like, this is awesome. Like maybe we're onto something. Like, dude, just go read a book. Like this is out there. This has been out there for like thousands of years. Like they figured this out. Mm-hmm. But
People
yeah,
are
I mean,
still people
people are
after
still people.
all these millennia.
And truth is still truth. Wisdom is still wisdom, and we work the same.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's another topic. Thanks for sharing that with us, Science, and I hope that that relationship goes well.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's going to be good. And thanks for posting.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, what do we got next?
I don't know. We are getting close to the 2-hour mark.
We are, yes.
151 or something close to that. Probably 145 more like. But we can do one more like 15-minute one or something like that. We can try that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yo, what if the Earth revolves around the sun? Whoa, dude.
Don't. That's wrong.
Are you telling?
Don't even pretend, guys. It doesn't. That's obvious.
What if the Earth was round?
You know how much gravity would not even make sense at that point?
If the Earth was round?
Yeah, and like
I know. How would you ever fall off the edge?
How could you ever even turn a light on? You would not be able to turn a light bulb on if the Earth was round. Dude, I don't know. I don't know where that's coming from, but you figure out how that's right somehow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I have light bulbs on all around me. And I'm just thinking to myself, if the Earth was round, it would not work.
Right. And the Earth is a triangle.
Obviously, clearly.
No, not a pyramid. No, you didn't hear me wrong. It's a triangle.
A flat triangle.
And it always points at the sun.
And it always points at the sun. And the sun revolves around it.
Mm-hmm.
Please move on before I give in to wanting to discuss this here, please.
Uh-oh. Sounds like you've actually ran into people who believe it's flat or something. I don't know, but let's move on, I guess, huh?
Yeah. So we've got a couple. Yeah. Thank you, Bree. We should get back to someone's question. We've got Pokemon fan, we've got Kendra, and we've got Aaron of McD.
Oh my god. Obviously. Aaron. I know that Bree had one too.
Did Bree have one?
Kind of. Yeah. But just recently, so.
Okay.
I don't know. Pokemon fan is still here. That would be the person next on the list.
Okay, Pokemon fan left.
Is Kendra here? I'm pretty sure Kendra's here.
I see Kendra.
Cool.
All right. Okay, Kendra is here. She just said hi. Okay, cool. So, Kendra, we will go with yours next. Kendra is having Valentine's problems. And let's see. Okay, this is Kendra's post. Kendra says, I am feeling lonely. Valentine's Day is tomorrow, and my boyfriend is planning on making a video of him singing some song for me, and I don't have anything, and I feel bad about it. Not only that, but it's also my brother's 16th birthday, and I can't be there to celebrate it with him and help my mom with getting things ready for his party. I have asked if my friends have any plans, and basically all of them are working or have to stay home with family. What can I do so that I am not feeling so lonely? And any ideas on what I could do for my boyfriend and my family? Wow.
Mm.
And it's tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
You're certainly limited a bit on time. So, Ryan, you got any suggestions?
I guess my first suggestion would be do something artistic, like a little card, and take a picture of it and send it to them. I know Princess does that for me from time to time to cheer me on with with cute little cards. It's nice,
Mhm.
and I'm sure that will be encouraging. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time on it. Just take a crayon or a pencil and draw something cute, like "I love you" and a heart, and put whatever you put your own personality into it, and then take a picture of it and send it to him on his phone or Discord or his computer or whatever. That's an idea for you, for your
Mhm.
boyfriend. Um, that's the first thing that came to my mind. Um, as for your brother, I mean, you could technically do the same thing. Happy birthday, send him a picture and say, "Hey, I made this card for you," or this little picture for you. Um, that's an easy do. Um, and then it's not like you're gonna be late with it, I suppose. Um, you could also, I guess, write him something that's nice, like uh, these are the things that I'm impressed with in you, or whatever. Like, thanks for being a part of my life. I've always appreciated you and the things that you've done. Thanks for blah 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 blah. Something sweet and kind like that. People appreciate those, especially when they're really well thought out and they don't take too long to make.
Mhm.
Um, you just think about it for like 30 minutes and write it down, and whatever you come up with, send it to them. That's a nice gift. Um, something that will be cherished, something that will be remembered. I don't know your personal experiences with the person, so I can't really say something particularly touching, but um, just write down the things that you appreciate about them, times they helped get you through, or whatever it is. Um,
Mhm.
and those are my two ideas for gifts. Um, and you can do that for both of those people. Um, and as for feeling lonely, um, that's a whole nother topic. And it's a really good one. I know we've talked about it before, but loneliness is often a desire to be with somebody. It's not necessarily that you're alone that you feel lonely. It's that you have a desire um, to share an experience with somebody, or to be around people, um, or around specific people. And that's not wrong. Um, it's not a bad thing, but um, you know, you can just if you learn to enjoy yourself, loneliness goes away. If you
Mhm.
learn, I remember a guy once saying, "The day I I don't remember the exact phrase, but he basically said that um, the day he learned to talk to himself was the day he cured all of his boredom."
Mhm.
Something
Mhm.
along those lines.
I think I know. I think I remember this one actually. Was
Yeah.
it the day I learned to feast upon my own intellect?
Ah,
Is that it?
that's it. Yes.
Okay.
I think that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, learning how to examine yourself, talk to yourself, uh, come up with new ideas just by yourself, because you can do that. You have so much knowledge that you have recorded in your brain, and then sometimes you just have to put them together in certain ways, and you're like, wait a minute, I just realized something like I never even thought about before. That's awesome. You can cure your boredom. You can cure loneliness if you learn to build that relationship with yourself, um, to just really enjoy yourself. And that's cool. So, um, that's not necessarily something you can fix tomorrow, but it's something you can try tomorrow, um, and start yourself on that path to getting there, to getting to that level. Um, but outside of that, um, if you're, if you crave people, if you crave being around people, like there's nothing wrong with that. That's totally cool. But I just don't want your emotional satisfaction with yourself to be dependent upon that, because then it's gonna be hard. Life is gonna be hard because you're going to need that all the time, and I don't want that for you. And it might just be that it's Valentine's Day because of the hype with all of that, and that's what's making you feel that way. Sometimes it's okay to play a holiday down. Honestly, I've never put too much thought into Valentine's Day ever. It wasn't a big deal to me because I love people every single day. And a Valentine's Day should not give me more reason to act with kindness or love to somebody. I should be acting with that kind of kindness and sincerity every single day, not just Valentine's Day, right? Now, of course, I understand you can't buy gifts for somebody every single day, but you should be, being kind to that person, etc., regardless of the day. I don't think the day should make I think that it's beautiful that that day exists, and it's in good spirit that that day exists. That day is comes from Saint Valentine, a Catholic saint, who I believe was martyred, meaning he was killed for trying to marry people together when marriage became illegal. In the state, or in the country that they were from, which might have been Poland. I could be wrong about my history there. Check it out yourself. You go look up St. Valentine. I could be mixing two people together here. But anyhow, I might have my story straight. I might not. But anyways, you're not obsolete, science. That's the best I got for you. And I don't want to spend too much more time on it, so I'm gonna let Joe give you some ideas. And yeah.
Well, I love what Ryan was talking about on being able to spend time with yourself, being able to you can cure your boredom by learning how to visualize, by learning how to use your imagination. And sometimes if I have a whole bunch of time to myself, I just curl up with a book, and read for a while. And sometimes it's a good time for rest and reflection. I love what Ryan was saying about what you can do for your boyfriend, something handmade, something, just talking about how much you appreciate him. Because if I remember correctly, you're in kind of a distance relationship situation. So you're not there with him. So you could take a picture of it. You can, make something, take a picture, email it, send it to his phone, whatever. And that's a great thing to do. And if you know the types of things that you appreciate about him, that will go so far. It always goes so far for guys. I think we always want to feel like we're useful, and so ways that he makes you feel good would be a great thing to give him. Helping with the party. Let's see, where was it? Not only that, it's my brother's 16th birthday. I can't be there to celebrate it with him and help my mom with getting things ready for his party. Sometimes you just gotta call. Sometimes it's just a phone call and say, hey, happy 16th birthday. The situation, I can't be there, but next time we get together, we'll do something, maybe whatever. We'll go grab something to eat. We'll go, get something to drink together, whatever. Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate, but with siblings and their birthdays, I've been dealing with that with my brother for years. And there are times when we don't even call each other on our birthday. We just call each other a few days later. We're like, hey, I know you had a birthday. Happy birthday. And sometimes that's the case. But I think the big thing is what to do so you're not feeling so lonely. One thing you can do, I tell you, this was one thing I did at one point I needed to come up with some kind of gift for my wife. And I looked on YouTube and I learned how to make origami roses. And I got really good at it. For like a couple of days, I was good at it because I practiced a whole bunch of times and I ripped through a whole bunch of pieces of paper. And and you know, the key is I didn't ever buy origami paper. I just used regular paper and cut it to square, you know, like I use a paper cutter to measure it and cut it so it was square. And that's what I used to make these. Now for a guy, maybe roses might not be the right thing. I would refer to a video on or the BSS YouTube channel, Origami Giraffe.
It won't teach you a thing, but it'll entertain you in the process of not teaching you how to make one. But it says, yeah, okay, never mind.
Yes. And you could make the Origami Giraffe with the pre-made Metal Epic battle armor.
That's right. That's right.
So, but that turned out, yes, the giraffe. That turned out to be a great way for me to learn how to do origami. Was a great way to in that moment, because I remember feeling kind of like that too. I was trying to figure out ways to connect. It was a time when I was feeling distant from my wife. I wanted to connect with her at a deeper level, and so there was this feeling of loneliness involved. And when I got to work on learning origami and learning how to do all the folds and learning how to make it and really got into that, what I found was doing that task filled my time and my brain and my efforts to the point where I forgot about being lonely. I was doing something for my wife. I was doing something to give of myself. It wasn't going to bring me any value whatsoever to learn how to make origami roses. It wasn't going to do anything for me. And I learned how to make origami frogs. That was fun. I learned how to make origami, all kinds of stuff. And I just got into it for a while. And it really, really helped because I was focused on doing something and it was going to be a gift. So my intentions were, I'm doing this to give something to this person that I care about, that I feel distant from. I'm going to try and bridge this gap. And the very act of being involved in doing that took the loneliness feeling away because I was focused elsewhere. I wasn't thinking about my loneliness. Instead, I was thinking about, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it really well. And when I give it to him, it's going to be something that I can be proud to give. And it was really, really cool. I just got sucked into it and my loneliness it went away because I was in that process. So that's some things you can do as far as loneliness is concerned. And you can watch the Origami Giraffe video.
It won't make you any less lonely, but it's weird.
It is awesome. It is epic. Yes. So anyway, that's about the extent I would have as far as coming up with something for you, Kendra. Hopefully that's helpful for you. But if it's not origami, it could be some other kind of task. But creating something for somebody for Valentine's Day, one advantage is it's inexpensive usually. And two, it's something that's unique for them. And three, it takes time and effort, and to give time and effort and energy to something means so much more, I think, personally, than just buying something for somebody and giving it to them. I think when somebody takes time and energy to put something together, to do that, that's amazing.
Yeah.
My wife takes time and energy to put together presents of things she buys, but there are themes to things, and she, like, she buys the things, but there's a creative element to it where she puts it all together in this cool themed package type deal. And it turns out to be this really, really cool thing. You can do something like that too. That generally costs more money though. But to create something, and then the very act of creating takes time and energy that gets you focused on something other than being alone. So that's probably about the best I have. Got anything else, Ryan?
Nope. That was great. Cool. Well, awesome.
Yeah. So, wow, everybody, you guys have been amazing. I tell you, we've got, so we still have lined up. We've got Angel lined up. We've got Pokemon Fan. We've got Aaron and Bree. You guys are all lined up for the next show. So when you come on Friday, when we're here again, we should be able to get to all of those if you're here. Yeah, if you're not, we'll get to yours next time you're here.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, we sure do appreciate every single one of you being here. Thank you so much for coming and making this show possible. Because without you, we'd just be up here talking.
Yeah, and that would be, it just wouldn't be as good without you guys.
We've done that before, actually. Ryan and I we have got hours upon hours upon hours of conversations that we've had on topics.
Mm-hmm.
And one of these days, what we're going to do is we're going to produce those and make them in a members only section on our website or something. We're going to get those out there at some point, because there was some really profound stuff that Ryan said, and I just kind of held my own.
I think that if anything sounded good, it was coming from you, because just everything you say sounds good.
I have to disagree with you.
You can do that.
Respectfully.
I respect that disagreement, and I raise you one disagreement.
Yes. So anyway, but yeah, so be on the lookout for that stuff. Be on the lookout for the store, for the book section of the store. Be on the lookout for all kinds of great stuff coming from BSS.studio. And come back on Friday, where we're going to do this again. And those of you that have questions hanging out there, we will get to those on Friday. So come on back. We love you guys so much.
Yeah.
And thanks again for everything.
Yeah, we love you guys. See you later. Happy Valentine's Day tomorrow.
Happy Valentine's Day. You're awesome.